right, so we're here at the Naish booth with the designer of Naish. It was really cool to get to meet the person who designs all the equipment because we get some techie geek stuff from you.
Yeah.
So this is Damien. So what kind of great, cool things have come up with kites in Naish this year?
So this year we introduced kind of like not really a new kite, but we worked a lot on our park kite, which was 5 years already. Now it's the Park HD. And you can ask me why we called it HD
because it's high density.
Yeah, well, it would be a high definition of like my version of it. But yeah, it came from like developing the pivot last year, learning a lot about different aspect ratio, testing a lot of different aspect ratio, and then having our torch, which is our freestyle kite. That it's like the 12th version now. It's a higher aspect ratio kite, and I was trying to kind of like infuse some of what I had from the pivot and what I have from the torch into that park, trying to make it more higher performing at pretty much every level, not just being a better freestyle kite, but being an overall a better kite. And so learning from the pivot last year, going from different aspect ratio, I did the same on the park this year. So I took the aspect ratio from 4.1 last year to 4.6 this year, so it's higher. And right away when we got the first prototype, I remember trying it with the tester guys, and we were like, "Whoa, that thing is insane! It's so crisp. It is like it's high definition kiting suddenly." Like that came up right away. We're like, it's just insane because it was like such a step forward in terms of like steering being so much better. So that's how like the HG came. And at first it was kind of like a working title for the kite, and then we just kept it. So that's why we got HG name. But yeah, in terms of like how the kite acts, it's just got so much better at a lot of ways. Like the top team rider we have for like PKRA, they tried the kite, and like Paul Serrand, the French guy, was like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna switch from the torch to that kite for freestyle." So I was like, that's a huge claim because for them to go to a bridle kite, it's kind of like a big thing. So I was super stoked on that. But on the same time, I ride strapless a lot, and the kite got so much better for strapless too. It's a lot more forgiving. It's got a lot more D-power. So that was a good thing. And then when you get a kite that gets more forgiving and on the same time higher performance, then suddenly for your free ride side of it, it makes it easier to jump. So you jump better. It kind of glides better. The Park was already a super good jumping kite. I think the guys from Kite World had the biggest jump ever when they tested the kite last year in South Africa. So now with this new one, I think we're going to get better records. The whole Woo and X sensor thing. I'm looking forward for big numbers with that kite now.
Well, and having Jesse ride for you, I mean.
Yeah, Jesse is a madman anyway. But yeah, Jesse loves it too. So that's a good thing. So that's for the Park. As far as the pivot goes, the pivot was really successful last year. A lot of work went into it last year when we developed it, and then this year we kind of tried different stuff, trying to improve, and it turns out that we always came back to the one from last year being like a better version. So we tweaked some of the sizes, we adjusted the bridles, but other than that we kept it very similar to what it was because it's such a good kite, and I think a lot of people tried it last year, and now the word's out that it's a great kite. So I'm looking forward for people to get excited on it again this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I always think is strange. Like sometimes you have an amazing kite, an amazing year, and then they go and change it, but it doesn't make sense to change it if it's awesome already.
Exactly.
So,
that's kind of what we didn't want to ruin it. You're like, well, we got something good. So
just for the sake of making something different.
Yeah,
it doesn't,
exactly. No, we don't make new just to make new. We make new when it makes sense. That's why the Park HG made a lot of sense. I'm like super psyched on it, and the pivot, I got ideas for what I want to do for next year, and I keep trying. And but for now, we're super stoked on how it is.
That's awesome. Well, I hear you guys also have a kite for hydrofoiling too.
Right. Yeah. The Trip kite, which started, we started like a few years ago. It's a no strut kite, and the idea was like to make a kite that was had really good low end, was super simple with no strut, and we called it a Trip because then it was easy to pack in super small bag, so you could travel with it, go on a surf trip with it. And it turned out with the whole hydrofoil thing that you want to go in super light wind. I mean, you can go in super light wind, but you don't want to have a big kite. And the Trip turned out to be like the awesome kite for kite foiling because it virtually flies in almost no wind because it's so much lighter. You can launch it when other kites will not even launch. And once you launch your kite on a hydrofoil, that's fine because then you create your own wind. So the Trip is such a good folding kite, and it's funny, like it was not meant to be at first, and it turns out that now I got people from all over the world being super psyched on it, so it's a good thing.
It's cool. I mean, especially now because you have to pay for your bags so much more.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't believe even coming here. I had to pay just for one small bag. So this is a really good direction that things are going.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, the foil, it's easy to travel with, and that kite is really small. I mean, it fits in a bag like this one,
Really?
Yeah, like a 12 meter fits in that bag.
Wow.
We use the same bag actually for the packaging of that kite.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good stuff.
Cool. And what other kites do you have this year? What other changes?
We have a really vast lines of kites, so we have like a kite for everybody. We have the Fly is our dedicated light wind kite. The idea when we made it was to make a kite that was not a race kite. It was a kite that was fun to ride with, so it was based on our park design. So it's a kite you can unhook with, you can do kite loop. It's a fun kite to ride with instead of like, it's like I gotta take a race kite that has that weird steering that you don't like. That kite steers like, literally it's a 15, but it steers like a much smaller kite. So that was the whole idea. And then women's version of the Pivot is the Alana, which is the same kite, different colors, and it comes with a control system that's specific to women's. It's smaller, it's got a shorter throw, it's got a smaller chicken loop. So yeah, girls been loving it.
Yeah, because that's a problem for us with small arms.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's good to have the smaller bar.
And then the shorter bar
awesome.
too makes the steering kind of softer. And usually girls don't necessarily go on like a much, like a 14 or something. So a smaller bar is, is enough to steer a smaller kite anyway. So that was the whole idea.
What color scheme did you come up with?
It's like
Tell me there's
blue.
pink.
Exactly, yeah, there's pink.
Awesome. Cool.
And then the last one is the Draft, which is kind of like a bigger dedicated kite. It's kind of like a race car kind of thing for kiting. It's got a lot of juice. It's it's a beast when you ride it, but it definitely boosts like crazy. Like I got people that got on the kite and came to me and were explaining me how high they were jumping. Like they were like, "Whoa, man, I could see like the curvature of the earth," kind of thing, So that was the whole idea of like making a jumping kite, and it's got a higher aspect ratio than all the others, so it glides really well, jumps really well, and then we worked a lot on like the bridles to get what we wanted on it. So it's it's got 3 struts in the bigger size, so it's lighter in the bigger size, and we got 5 struts in the smaller size, so it's kind of like stronger, stiffer for like the strong wind that you're gonna ride it in.
Like Cape Town.
In Cape Town, for example, yeah.